Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
This just in, Bernie Sanders tested for the presidency, and he came up negative.
That's damn truth.
The show is about to begin.
This is a bunch of bullshit.
The bar is open. Welcome back to the Titty and Shiner Show. This is episode 74. We are still recording from two different places. I don't know what day I'm on as far as having to stow up in my residence like I'm waiting on the zombies to come, but I do know that this is day 25 for Mr. Shiner. My name is Big Titty, by the way, and I'm still in love with collecting guitars.
I'll tell you what I'm not in love with. Day 26 of this book. This is wearing on me, man.
His name's Shiner.
I'm Donnie, and I still have a job.
That sums it up.
That you do. And boy,
Oh.
man, earlier today you were just laying it down. Mm-hmm. We'll get on that a little bit later. We just had to be conversing with Donnie earlier, and
Twisted my head up, man.
I was like, "So where did you learn politics like this?" And he's like, "I have a degree in political science, man." What
Yeah,
the
I'm
hell?
like, what the hell?
You
Like-
work on airplanes, and you were like, "It pays a hell of a lot better."
I was like, I thought this dude just turns wrenches. Like, what are you talking about? You got a degree in political science.
Poli-sci, man. Where'd you poli-sci from?
No, it's from Oklahoma State University.
Oh, go Pokes.
Erkla Hermy. Go Pokes. Pistols firing. Pew pew.
Now, as
pew,
long as we've been around Donnie and all that shit, I never ever heard this story until today.
You know, you wouldn't think about it. You're like, okay, he gets out of high school, he goes into the trade, he makes
Yeah.
good money. No.
No, Donnie's got a whole other backstory we haven't even touched on yet.
Well, and the crazy part is, he got done with his degree in political science and thought, man, I want to fly. So he, he goes over to the aviation school there in Tulsa. What the Trojan aviation? What's it called?
No, that's where all the terrorists were training.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the name of that?
Spartan.
Thank you,
Spartan.
Spartan Trojan, same freaking thing. And I knew that the Mad Cow wasn't quite there yet. I knew I had some going. Anyhow, so he goes to Spartan and realizes, you know what? I can make more money fixing planes than I can flying the stupid thing. So
Hey, you said that about your Mad Cow, and it's wearing off on people, bro. You need to tone it down with the Mad Cow, because our buddy Beans sent a Marco video to us from across the pond, and the poor guy started suffering from Mad Cow in the middle of it.
it's rubbing off, dude.
It felt horrible.
I do not mean for it to, but hell, it is what it is. You know, I'm just thankful to be alive, thankful to have some food in my belly. Thankful I got a paid-for house, and thankful I have a nice yard. You know, I can get out in my yard like I did today earlier and just chilled out during the morning and came back in, and I was done with what I had to do for work, so I just thought, well, hell,
I don't know what you just said that brought this to. I think it's about being grateful for things, but you and I talked earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, and there's this thing on social media that's gaining some steam, and people are posting, including physicians, that this COVID thing is hype, and I don't know what's going on with that.
You got me, dude.
Like, I live with somebody that is on the very front line of this.
Right.
There's nothing hype about this, man. I mean, this is a very real problem.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's gaining so much steam, and I've had family members contact me and want to know what her perspective is on things, because they're starting to buy into this. And
There's
I'm
a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, the numbers that are associated tend to be a little bit more than, the percentage tends to be a little more escalated.
Right.
And so, you know, it seems so much more, but when you look at the data and the statistics, I mean, it's still a real scary issue that so many people are facing. But, you know, it leads to people wondering just as to how many people are actually dealing with it, especially people who haven't had anybody that they've associated with that are dealing with it personally.
So you think that's the disconnect there is the personal aspect of it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, like, if you don't know somebody that's been directly affected, then, you're kind of living your life, in this situation. And up until the point where you do have somebody, that's when it becomes a little more real.
Well, it's funny you say that because today, Titty, you remember when I went and got my hair cut at the spot up there in Claremore?
Yeah.
And that barber that cut my hair, me and him kind of connected. He posted on Instagram earlier today, he lost a stepfather to COVID.
God
And,
dang.
man, I mean, something about reading that really touched me, man, and it really hit home. I was like, oh, shit.
Well, because now you know somebody.
Yeah, which is weird because I live with somebody that deals with this every time she goes to work. So I don't know what it was about that connection that made it so real to me, but anybody that's starting to think about all these things they're reading online and this isn't real or it's been elaborated on or any of this stuff, let me tell you right now, I live with somebody that came home and her face is raw from wearing a respirator. Like,
well, not only that, she works that COVID unit, and I heard a story that this nurse was on duty, just took the patient over, noticed it sounded kind of gurgly on one side, so she called the doctor, ordered a chest X-ray. X-ray comes back, and he's got some pneumonia in one lung and a couple of the lobes, and then she started noticing that this dude's pulse ox kept dropping, and it wasn't dropping like 98, 97, 96. It was dropping like 95. A minute and a half later, it'd be 90.
yeah.
And then 85. It got down to 75, and the nurse couldn't believe that old dude was still able to breathe. And then literally 2 hours later, 2 hours, he winds up dying on the ventilator. They take a chest X-ray, and both his lungs are just full, just whited out like a ghost.
It's like firefighters deal with flashover in house fire. Like this disease or this virus, I guess it decides it's going to kill somebody, and it just kills them, man. There's one for Donnie to bleep out, but it just kills them. I mean,
like kills them
dead, like dead, dude.
I shouldn't laugh because this is horrible, but I mean,
what can you do nowadays, though? But what I was going to say is, anybody that's buying into this stuff online that this is propaganda and it's not happening, you guys can eat a dick. Like I live with somebody.
a whole bag of them.
What?
A whole bag of them.
Yeah, eat a bag of dicks because I live with somebody that is, her face is irritated from a respirator. She comes home and talks about this stuff, and somebody that has as much experience as she does, there's tears in her eyes, and this is a real thing. Like, this is going down, and anybody that is buying into this bullshit online, like I said, I can't sum it up any better. Eat a bag of dicks because this is happening.
Well, the crazy part is you have all the professionals out there, doctors included. They've got the white Tyvek suits and those canister respirators and all that mess, and you look at them like car painter.
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Dickhead.
Look like Johnny Simo walking around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Johnny Simo, man. You want to talk about somebody who mastered the art of fabrication and painting, especially
That's our
on
dude.
British sports cars.
That's our dude.
Johnny Simonetti. He restores British sports.
There's people that do things, and then there's people that do. And Johnny Simo is one of those people that do things. He does things very well.
He does.
And he's one of the most humble guys you could. You guys don't understand this relationship we have with Johnny, but Johnny is one of the most humble guys in the world. He's just a good old boy, but when it comes to his trade, it's a home run. I mean, well, and just like when he painted those guitars, he's like, I've never painted a guitar before.
We just knew how
But he
to
knocks
do
him
it.
out of the park.
Right. It's like my son. He picks up an instrument, whether it's a guitar or piano or whatever, and he just
Wait a minute, your son can pick up a piano?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So can my son-in-law. He used to move pianos, actually.
Well, I believe that. I mean,
he
what's
sure
your
did.
son-in-law's name?
I'm going to call him K-Dog because I'm not.
Big Scary?
Big Scary.
That dude is a hoss now.
Sweetest guy you'll ever meet on the planet, bar none. But he doesn't
Well,
look super sweet when you walk up.
And then they got the little one, Baron. Dude, he's a little truck. I mean,
Baron, yeah, he's like it's like a little miniature John Madden that just runs through the house.
oh, that's a good analogy.
He is. He's a miniature
Which-
John Madden.
I don't know, man. I got a short clip in my film of the two of them, but you can't tell who they are.
Right.
You know.
And thank
But-
you for protecting their identity on that. I know
Oh,
that,
of course, man. Of
that
course.
film that you
But-
made. And by the way, everybody out there, Shiner just entered a film in a contest. Actually, 2 contests.
Yeah, I just entered my film in 2 short film contests, so we'll see how that does.
Yeah. And maybe once everything's done with the contest and all that mess, then he can post the video for everybody to see. But
Yeah, because everybody that has watched the film on YouTube, you guys have not seen what I've done with it since. And it is pretty, I like to think it's next level shit. I mean,
it is. Straight
So-
up. But, you use that in there to show that families are still able to stay connected. And,
Yeah.
we're still able to have a birth.
it was one of the most poignant clips in that video, in that film, because it's people being separate, but people still being together. And you can't, I mean, there's no other time in the world that could, or no other circumstance in the world that could have taken place that makes us understand that, right?
No, and I'm glad that we were able to actually do that, because I was really wondering how, with everybody using this meeting software and all that mess for work, those who stay at home, that bandwidth is gone, and so I was just wondering, how we were going to do that, and she found this app called Zoom, which we were able to do, but I was actually thinking of going on Amazon and getting a few of those video devices with the screens. It's got the Alexa and all that mess built into it, so we could all kind of stay in contact. But
Isn't that weird that we're starting to think about things in those terms? That's very bizarre.
yeah, in the conversation you and I had earlier, which I think would be, for me, this would just be a fantastic thing, is if somehow we could get back to a similar circumstance of what we saw in the 60s, or
Right.
70s, early 70s. I was able to, there's hardly any traffic on the road. People are still getting by. Now, granted, I don't know how long that's going to last, because there's a lot of people that are out of work right now, but
6 million people last week.
and I'm thankful that I'm not one of them.
And God dang, I hate.
Yeah, it's not that it puts a black mark against Trump's presidency, because it doesn't matter who would be president at this point.
You're taking a hickey.
Right, it's going to be a hickey on whoever gets it. So,
Yeah.
having said that, it's still going to be in such a way that this is all Trump's fault. And the bad part about it is there's a whole timeline of events where Trump was, well ahead of the Democrats, sometimes days, sometimes weeks ahead of the Democrats on the direction the country should go when it comes to this virus. And you have Democrats out there a week and a half after he suggested that if you can, shelter in place. If you can work from home, work from home. And then you got Nancy Pelosi out of a freaking bar telling people
Well,
to come join her.
Here's what I've come to accept about this. When you have people, you have a great portion that have the level of hatred that they do for the president. It doesn't really matter what he does,
No.
because they're gonna find a way to pick it apart. And it used to irritate me, because I'm like, well, but he's doing this and he's doing that, and it used to irritate me. But anymore, I've just come to accept it. What I don't like is, and I will say, the majority of people that used to be very political on, let's say, Twitter,
Right.
they're not really doing that right now. They're more about, hey, let's come together and make this happen as a team. And I do like that. I mean, if nothing else comes good out of this virus, maybe some of that will bleed over. And then again, maybe it won't.
Well, it would be nice if it did. And unfortunately, we can't undo the number of cars that are out on the road, or at least in everybody's driveways. Between the early 70s and now, you got households that had 1 car, 2 if they needed a pickup, and now you've got households that have 3 or 4 cars sitting in the driveway, and 2 of them get driven at any given time.
Well, you brought up something that made me think earlier. Like, there's a lot of people in situations right now where mom is a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So will this